Well, hello, fellow traveler. Fancy meeting you here. We're here to drop in for our 72 hours portal report, just to start to get a clue about the kind of energy that's starting to come in here. We do have a little bit of a sting to get your hands on some kind of sweet reward. Got to take a little sting to get your fill of this, whatever this is, but you can handle it. I do feel like there's some sense of focus coming in here. There's a sweet reward, and this is taking the focus to bring this thing in. So, yeah, somebody is dead set on calling this in, whatever this is. I feel like they've had to smash a lot of illusions. This feels like an alchemical process here. This is like something that somebody's trying to pull out of the ether. A little bit of that trying to pull a diamond out of the void. Yeah. They still have enough spoons for this, whatever this is. They feel they got a little bit of loyalty to the cause left in them with whatever this is. Feels like something somebody's trying to manifest here. They were going to burn a bridge, but they recognize they don't have enough fuel to do that. They feel like there's got to be some way they can still keep their eyes on the prize and bring about a surprise renewal in a situation. Okay. Energy's already getting interesting. I dig it. Okay, let's check it out and see what is coming in here over the next 72 hours. And what is this mystery card that sort of introduced itself outside the deck? I hear it's the wild card element. Oh, of course. The Frodis, the eternal wild card element. What are they up to? I think they're up to some slick stuff. I think they've been keeping an eye on the overall collective, the whole collective, the collective that makes up planet Earth here. And they do feel like it's time to pull something slick. It's got like, I don't know, I got the vibes of like an oil slick. That's what I feel here. So, more brewing over there in Iran and all of that. Like there's a lot going on right now where it's sort of like one hand greases the other. But there's something that's actually happening here in a very covert way, where it is to try to create more. I mean, I have to say what's coming through is it's that like world domination energy. Like this is really wanting to create a narrative on a global level here is what is coming in around this. Okay, so yeah, we always have to be aware of that. On a microcosmic level, there could be somebody trying to kind of like smooth something over, being real slippery with it, you know. Somebody who knows how to kind of work people, you know. It's got that kind of energy, but there's attachments that come with this. You've encountered this before, you know. It's nothing new. I feel like it's a situation where somebody is showing still strong approach, but a softer approach. But you know this by the book. And what's interesting is I feel like you're real close to some kind of sweet reward coming in. Probably why that message presented itself. You got the gravy funnel coming in here, man. There's protective forces watching over this for you to make sure you don't lose the plot, right, when it's getting into the thick of it. But there's something coming forward with almost this like gentle giant energy. Now on a macrocosmic level, I can certainly see this in relation to geopolitical affairs. Okay, that's how I'm going to bring that forward. It seems like there's a certain presentation, like a false strong united front. Something is by the playbook I'm hearing in relation to this. Okay, in your personal lives, this is somebody taking a gentle giant approach. Okay, they're still coming forward strong, but they're softening their position a little bit. But there's still, you know, it's just the way they're riding in, you know. So be aware of this, because it looks like you're lined up to receive something, and we know somebody's going to try to pull something slick. To gain control, they see you're entering into the world stage of the hero's journey, where you actually bring things to a successful culmination point, you know. This is actually being able to make it through a campaign, successfully. But there's always going to be the saboteur lying in wait. This is somebody who's going to try to pull something slick here. I see it, but you've dealt with this before, okay? It's by the book. And the same applies for what's happening in terms of what's being put out by media and a narrative in general that is on the airwaves, okay, at this time, capturing people's attention. A lot of it is really distractionary, but it's distractionary around people really stepping into their own personal empowerment here. Yeah, see, and just as I bring that in, see, this is the stage we're entering into. We're entering into the stage of the beefcake. We don't have to ask, where's the beef? It's right here, and we're bringing it. We know what beef we have with the Frodis. We want a new kind of beginning. We want something that is built to last, and we want something that's going to be fulfilling, and that's where we're going to keep our focus here, and we're wide open to that. Also, vision wide open. A lot of the collective is starting to recognize that there really does need to be a common goal, common focus here, as they're starting to see the destabilization that happens when you got half of the planet waking up, aware, ready to move forward with a sense of purpose, and you got another half of the planet that's still really stuck to the old way things have always been, that are coming from a more antagonistic front that sort of leads us back into the past. And I do feel like, yeah, there is injury that comes with moving forward in alignment with the truth, because you're going to face backlash from the Frodis. You're going to face backlash from those who oppose the truth. That's always the way it is. But it sure beats continuing to be in such a state where you always have to watch your back, and where it's really difficult to have any new beginnings in your life, because your life is run by a program rather than from a place of heart-centered purpose. And so this is what's really shifting here. And there's a transformation that's underway, because more and more people are going to realize that if we continue to go down this road, things are going to be effed, you know, and that doesn't work for anybody. But there's a new beginning coming in here. But you see, you can see it, the way it's lined up on the board, the Frodis, and whatever the Frodis is to you in your personal life. This can come through many ways. The Frodis could be an aspect of your psychology that keeps going over the same old loops, that keeps you trapped in a certain time and place within your history that you've already outlived. And that's the Frodis you need to overthrow. For some of you, the Frodis can be a habit. It can be a subconscious part of yourself. It can be something you have not even seen yet. But once you see it, that's what frees you from it. Frees you from this in-between state, feeling like there's nowhere to go to. You take one step forward and very quickly you find yourself turning back around because of what you confront up ahead. But this is in a state of transformation here. The Frodis is also the powers that be. You know, it is the forces that are in charge of this mundane reality and the way it rolls out. And that's there too. But there's also transformation happening on that level right now. But this is the part where most people feel like kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. And so there's this need to have this strength for what's up ahead. You want to be nice and open to this. You might even want to experiment with opening yourself up to new energies. maybe even doing that physically, you know. Some of you may really benefit from getting into a yoga practice, and especially where you're focusing on back bends and expansions and things that like open up the heart center, open up your power center. That's really going to be helpful here too. It's going to free up the energy that's ready to rise up here, you know, to actually launch the vision where you truly know what aligns with your heart and what is ready to be shed, right? But the knowledge always comes out of what is below, or what is subconscious, or what is rooted in the deep past as well. I mean, that's how we gain our wisdom. That even comes through ancestrally. So this forms a foundational piece, but there's something that's going on right now where you're retrieving a lot of that mana that comes from the time of integrating shadow stuff, and also just your own personal history, and a lot of you learning more about your bloodline and kind of where you come from. And there's so much that's come through that's actually meant to be activated through you on a higher level. But in order to free that up, you got to open up. You got to open up the bridge, Manipura, the solar plexus chakra. That'll allow the energy to come into Anahata, the heart, open everything up, where then you can actually make a bridge between Vishuddha, the throat chakra, and Ajna, third eye. That's when you'll see something different. You'll see something different. And it's something that it's happening on an internal level, but this is creating a new way forward. You're not going to be in this in-between place. It's like you finally have the vision of how to move forward instead of having the vision of the Frodis, you know? It's like opening up your own internal vision and having it cleansed of the programming of this force that's been around you from wherever it's sourced. I mean, it always is partially sourced from within, though. We know that because anything that's going down outside of us, it has its origin point within us on some level. We can't deny that. That's just, it's physics, really, because it's all just energy at the end of the day. And really, if you think about it, just one consciousness, truly, if you really go way out there. But this energy here is talking about taking your vision back. You may not recognize that there's still like a key piece of your vision that needs to be restored here. And this could be something you're retrieving. It could come back from distant past. There's been a lot coming in about discovering gifts you hold, empowerments you hold, things you're meant to bring forward here. So I feel like this is something that's coming in. For some of you, it's in relation to your path in past lives, you know, past incarnations, and ways that you played a role where you might have been considered too dangerous. That's how it's coming through. There could even be something about that that's being activated on your present path. Maybe to certain forces, you may seem dangerous in terms of your ability to see through the programming. I could see that, okay? So people that are maybe starting to play a more active role, or letting yourself really speak your point of view, you know, and put yourself out there, especially where you may have views that are very different from others. It's interesting because I feel like there's something there being activated where it's almost like causing, and this could even be in this life. Maybe there was a time in the past, okay? For those of you that are like, Broad, I don't buy into that BS about, you know, past lives, past incarnations. That's cool. It doesn't really matter, you know, beliefs are just beliefs. That's the way I see it, you know. Anything is open to interpretation. I feel like this is kind of like speaking, though, of a time where you felt like when you shared yourself from your true essence, in some way it effed you up. It caused you some kind of injury, may have even caused you some kind of opposition here, some kind of tangible injury, you know, it looks like. In the perspective of past lives, this could even be a time where you were martyred, or it cost you your life in a past life. And so there's like a real strong imprint here, whether it's from your personal history now, or whether this is something you're retrieving from like the archives of lifetimes past. There's some core, I feel like it's a core memory here that almost, that could be the Frodis that prevents you from really like stepping into your true creativity, or what you are here to do, really aligning with that path of purpose. Because there's like this subconscious fear, if I step into my true creative empowerment, I'm going to get screwed, you know? There's snakes in the grass, you know? I'm going to get injured here, you know? I'll get the axe. I'll lose my heavy head, you know? This kind of energy. But it's actually quite the opposite. And moving forward in this way, where you're like wide open and you show the strength of what you're working with, instead of feeling like you have to kind of fall in line or conceal the truth of who you are. That's actually what's creating the injury, you know? That's what's slowing you down. If you were to step into this, you would find that your vision would be so clear, so centered, so focused. I mean, everything would be in its proper place of balance, and this would activate your gifts right here. A whole new world would open up to you, truly, I feel. But this is the kind of experience that looks like you're moving through. You're bumping up against these two states, you know. You're balancing out the risk to open up, the risk to open up to an experience, the risk to open up and show people who you truly are, the risk to open up in a relationship with another, the risk to open up communication, the risk to open up risky conversations. I just heard. Maybe remembering past experiences where this backfired. In other cases, you never had an experience like this, but there's some still like visceral thing that's setting off your nervous system in relation to this. It could be from a past incarnation. I think so. There's some cosmic egg of creation that you hold right now. You're going through a profound transformation. And at times, it may make you feel like like you're going through a very visceral death. I mean, that's usually what coming to another level of awareness feels like, you know, but it's the seed of creation. There's some transformational process you're going through here. And yeah, for those of you who feel called, maybe it's been a while since you've really devoted yourself to a practice, but those of you yogis, yoginis out there, if it's been a while since you've hit the mat, you may want to do that, because I think this experience coming in, this energy coming in, could be better facilitated if you unblock your sacral chakra. I feel like you got something there that's, yeah, really holding things back. It's keeping you from moving forward on a path of purpose, and it has something to do with you being open to sharing a vision you have, or letting people see you as you really are, instead of playing all these different roles and sort of, you know, just engaged in the theater of life where you have to be something different, you know, for every, you know, different scenario. And instead it's like, no, let me show you who I really am. Let me show you who I am beyond the veil of illusion. This is like For a lot of you, this is really just letting yourself be your weird little magical self. Being okay with not fitting in, maybe even at times seeming odd to people or misunderstood. This is just letting yourself really just rock the magic that you're working with, and also understanding the strength that you hold in being able to do that, you know. And sometimes it can help you tap into your empowerment if you look back in the past in ways that you held yourself back because you didn't want to upset the apple cart, or you just wanted everybody to get along, you know. And then you realize that that wasn't really worth nothing, because really everybody was just like getting along on the surface. Nobody was really connecting. Nobody even really got to connect with, you know, each other on a very real level. And when you take the risk to do this, you know, and you let down your guard, all of a sudden all this creativity comes in and a whole new story opens up for you. And it may be like shocking to people. And it may, you know, it may put you under attack sometimes too, when you first veer off course from what everybody else thinks in your family or in your social circle, or if you just really are just letting yourself finally, you know, say enough in situations or whatever it may be, you know. But this is really a time of empowerment, and it's informed by your wisdom here. And I see a lot of creativity coming in here. I mean, I think you are ferromagnetic right now. You are ferromagnetic. And a lot of that may have to do with the fact that maybe you have been connecting with nature more. Maybe you have. Maybe it's only been a few minutes here or there, but you've been more conscious about it. And that's really the key. We brought in iron. We were talking about how is iron the fairies' kryptonite? That came in on the last portal report. And I really don't think that it had anything to do with any kind of kryptonite in the traditional sense, but more a sense of, you know, at the end of the Bronze Age came in the Iron Age, and that really was the mark of us moving into technological advancement, and when things really shifted in the balance between man and nature, and more of a separation needed to be created. And that's what's the kryptonite of fairy, you could say, when they can't show themselves to us because we've lost our connection to the earth, and so therefore that magic needs to be protected. There's a lot about the earth really wanting that connection, wanting to partnership, you know. It's like the seed of the potential. You can gain a lot of energy, a lot of empowerment from connecting through the earth. In fact, it makes everything work better. But the thing is that when you don't do that, it's easy to be really disconnected from your sense of empowerment. And so I think there's like this call, especially at this time, and wanting to create a transformation in civilization, how humans move forward as a human civilization. There's like this energy coming in right now about doing what's necessary to reconnect with the earth. So if you've been doing that, if you've been spending time reconnecting with the earth, you're going to find like there's too much that's teeming in you that won't allow you to sort of stay in this place of social pleasantries, because what's coming forward in you is needing to be shared. And initially, this may give you a feeling of kind of being off in the alfalfa on your own there, but you know, you drift off into the alfalfa and you meet others that are also hanging out who wandered off into the alfalfa. And initially it feels like you're kind of lost in space, but you find good traveling companions here who are like hitchhikers of the galaxy. They know to find the way through. And they know what keys lead to absolutely nowhere. They discover that the key has been within all along. And that's what creates the moment of what seems opposites colliding in a moment of creativity that brings all of this renewal. And this energy is going to be coming in with that new moon in Gemini. That's when that starts. So right now, it may feel like things get a lot messier before they get better. We're at that portion of the story that's like the Hall of Mirrors and facing off with the opponent. But the trick is really to shift the perspective from looking outside of ourselves, thinking that the opponent is something that needs to be outwardly fought, and instead look more at the reflection to get clear on what is blocking the heart from being able to open up to move forward here. The key really is inward focus, not outer focus. And that's what provides the awakening moment. It's also what roots the world tree. It feels destructive. It's creative. This is the energy coming through. So this is very interesting because while the energy feels kind of quantum, right? And more out there, at the same time, it feels like this is happening in the microspheres of like our relationships, you know, those life questions that we're pondering, considering our next move. It's like everything is taking on a tone of gravity. That's how it's coming through. A different tone of gravity. Isn't that interesting? It's like thinking of numbers as having a flavor, like this kind of, this kind of thinking, absurdity, a little bit of absurdity coming in here. I'm feeling this energy. So to me, this feels like the world is at such a place. the material reality, right? Everything that's been set up by the Frotus, okay? It's in such a state where it's dissolving right now. And there's like these flickers, these instances where the sight is awakened to you. And you don't have a key to access these places. It's you being able to see through the illusion that gives you the perspective of what's really happening here. So there's like all these many awakening moments happening as we see the death, the ending of the illusion that's been cast over the collective, as in the worldwide collective. And it's an interesting process when that's happening, because you see it, you see it in the other, you see it in your friends, you see it in people you work with, you see it in people you bump into out in society, but it's entirely an inner process we're going through right now. And yes, it is this kind of, energy that's coming in here. This feels like it's a lot of, if I were to speak of it on more taking any form of spiritual focus out of it, this is like collective awakening to illusion, recognizing that something can't continue to go on like this anymore, and there is only one option, and that is to head forward into what may feel really intimidating territory. But there's a recognition that despite not wanting to have to push the envelope, it is the only way through. Also, going through periods of time where you may feel isolated, even when surrounded by other people, because of what you need to confront here. But this is bringing about transformation, key transformation in how people are moving forward, and recognizing that something's got to give. Could be happening in relationships, could be happening in your work, could be happening within family dynamics in any mundane situation you may be encountering in your life, but it's going so far beyond that. You know what I mean? This is like something that's happening in the collective consciousness, the one consciousness. And the thing is more people are coming on board. So as more people come on board, it becomes even more magnified, right? But there's a lot of creativity here. There's a lot of creativity in what's happening right now. And it's where we put the focus that determines what the end result is, you see? Look at the difference between the energetic quality of the Frodis to this infinite cosmic mass. See, there's seeing clearly here, there's that diamond in the rough, that diamond that comes through a pressurized experience, the impenetrability and clarity and multifacetedness of the diamond too, and the creativity that births into being here. There's even hints. You can see like sun's rays like poking through there. There's hints of the dawn and what's happening here, and something new is going to spiral into creation, but only after first the old unravels. So it's chaos. Chaos, the creative force. The focus though, the focus determines what the end result is. You see, it can create something that's a thing of beauty, or it can create more illusory sludge. And it's going down, you know, on a worldwide level, and it's going down on a multiverse level, and it's going down on your individual levels. And so that's a lot of different levels, and all the levels are happening at once, and they're all, you know, it's like they're collapsing into one timeline. That's what it really feels like. No more half-priced hot wings. We're going to go for the full buffet here. Cut the deck energy, and let's see what we got here. I mean, called it out. Look, call it out. It comes through. Hail Eris, Chaos Mom on the scene. It's the birth of a new world. It's also the birth of a new way forward for you. And it is the fact that right now you are feral magnetic. So it takes chaos to birth a star too. Some of those colossal stars that hold all that potential, to see you got a hold of this creativity. You have a hold of this creativity because you are able to cut your way through the veil of illusion. And you see, finally, those feet are both moving in the same direction. You're not effed here like you were before. See, the transformation actually comes through. It looks like you moved through the experience unscathed. That also came through a recent portal report. Now, you may be dealing with a situation where, you know, you may feel like the odds are stacked against you. You may be facing off with a Colossus kind of energy. You may be facing off with a Kraken sort of energy, something you feel that has a more stronger hold than you do, but you will be amazed at how easily, cleanly, simply a core truth you're about to gain frees you from this stronghold. And you're going to recognize it was nothing but half-price hot wings that were holding you back. And actually, maybe it was also convenient for you at a time that you were held back. If you're really honest with yourself, it was 33:55 on the clock when that came through. So there's probably some degree of truth in that. Probably some degree of truth in that for all of us. I mean, sometimes, you know, we can complain about being held back, and the reality is you want to be held back for a while. Maybe just because you're tired, but you don't want to admit that to yourself. You know? Sometimes, you know, we make excuses for staying stuck. This one would fall behind. Yeah, the stuck's going to come unstuck. We got the Eight of Wands coming through as the transformed energy. Expect the pace to start to pick up, especially as we edge closer to June 14th. There's something here that does need to be transformed. Right? Yeah. Something that's been like an interloper energy, something that's been hanging out on the periphery, something that has been invasive, okay? Something that's been undercover but has questionable justification for being so focused in your direction is being exposed. Yeah, it's being exposed so it can no longer benefit off of you in some way. This feels like something that's been a bit of a hindering or injurious kind of element. Again, please remember, you know, it doesn't have to be somebody outside of you. This can also be a way that you sabotage yourself, that you're becoming aware of, and you're transforming this, and it's moving things forward. You might be going through some kind of radical transformation over the next 8 weeks that gets kicked off over the next 72 hours. This could be something you're doing that you're wanting to put into effect to transform something you feel is debilitating you or holding you back. This could be something you're changing up with your financial affairs, something you're changing up with the way you work, something you're changing up in your relationships, or maybe something you're changing up with your health. For some of you, it's really about, yeah, you're really wanting to move, you're wanting to balance things out. This is wild how this came out. I think you'll be really successful here, okay? Yep, this looks good, man, okay? Queen of Swords coming out on the bottom of the deck, coming through transformed, coming into alignment with some kind of truth here, seeing something clearly after moving through the valley of the shadow, through the destruction, having clarity about something, making it through a profound initiation. The mysteries of the moon are obtained. With the mysteries of the moon comes the alignment with the sun, success. This is alchemy, the silver, the gold. This is alchemy. This is alchemy. This is something comes in, something's transformed because of sussing out what has been creating debilitation. That's how it's coming through. This could be from an outside force, certainly, okay? But always remember, it's the work of the alchemist to not look necessarily toward resolving the issues of the other, but always through mastering the self, okay? That's what allows you to transform those kind of situations. But there's something being transformed here and exposed. It looks good. There's like success, successful initiation too. You have successfully completed an initiation. There's recognition of this coming through, and yes, it comes through tangibly in material reality. So something you called in is manifesting. Also look for material reward where there was a sense of lack, because you've been getting more tapped in, because you've been connecting with the earth. You're going to start to see a lot more opportunities come your way. Things are going to start to shift and manifest on a different level here. So that's some good energy. Oh, just pulled this deck away. Judgment was left behind. So yeah, here's the renewal phase coming in here. Also, there's something resurfacing here. Something resurfacing here. On a macrocosmic level, I got something about grave sites, a burial ground. Okay, something being discovered, something being unearthed here. Yeah, some kind of news coming in about this, but this is a renewal energy. Getting to the other side, it's time for the renewal energy on the other side of whatever this was for you, okay? Also, it's where we're at collectively in the world too. We're needing to step into the first seeds of the renewal energy for the collective, you know, shifting the way we move forward as a global community here. You know, grassroots movements, it starts small, but the tide is turning, it is happening. If you're paying attention, you'll see it. There's a lot of people that are shifting, you know, they're starting to catch the wave. And where you may have been in a situation before where you felt kind of isolated because of how you saw the world or what you were aware of or how you feel about things, a lot of you are going to start to find that you're coming into alignment with other people who understand the way you do, who feel the way you do. Woo! Oh my goodness. What do we got here? I mean, it's overthrowing the man. It's recognizing that it's not about turning to outside authorities, outside power structures, needing an intermediary to tap in. I mean, this is alchemized energy. This is you actually recognizing that, you know, you have direct line. You can make a direct call, you know, you can receive the message directly from source. You don't need to rely on an intermediary, you know, to tell you what's what. This is really getting tapped in. Yeah, this is like a lot of the integrative work of the South Node. See this in reverse. What I'm really seeing this as is it's almost giving me the impression of the sword entering the waters or the sword entering the chalice, you know. It is the moment when the South Node energy is transformed, or the way things have always been goes through a transformation, and there's renewal energy that comes in because of something happening here that's transforming a reality. It's like it's a seed you planted a long time ago. Something you were wanting to call into fruition. And it's like you gave up on it because you never saw anything happen. But look, it's maturing. It's sneaking up on you. Oh, is that it? It's sneaking up on you. It's sneaking up on you. Maybe even because you've been distracted by something that seems like an outside sabotaging force. You don't recognize what's about to happen here. So you've given up on this. This flew over to my little arrangement I have here for the Kali, you know, the crone energy. And crone medicine is all about honoring the cycles of the past and what's come to an end. We see here, this is what's gone through a transformation. Like, you gave up on this at one point. You just assumed it was done for. Oh, that dream's never going to come true. For some of you, that vision I had, I don't know. Maybe that never was supposed to happen, or there's something here you gave up on. Let me see. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. You gave up on it. Isn't that wild? You gave up on it. Look at the pentacle, the way it comes through. You totally gave up on it. You never knew it was exactly that was needed. That's what was needed. You had to give up on it. You had to release it. You had to give up on it. Let go of thinking about it. Let go of hoping for it. Let go of feeling like it ever could happen, to letting it go. And now it comes in, you see? Letting go is always the key to finding the way through. That's when we stop asking spirit, you know, when is it going to come? Are we there yet? Or you stop looking to an outside source for any kind of verification, and you just go, all I know is it doesn't make sense to continue stressing about this, so I'm going to let this go. I'm going to let this go. And you let go, and then all of a sudden you recognize you never needed an intermediary after all. You were fighting for nothing. You give up the fight. You find the way through. Wow, it's already matured. It just took the recognition. So there's like full growth here. There's something you're receiving. It's something you wanted a long time ago, because this is going down in your material reality. This isn't like a psychological process. this is something that's actually happening that you wanted to see happen a long time ago, and you gave up on it because you thought, okay, I guess it's not for me. But now the transformation is complete. You had to go through an initiation with this. You also had to do a lot of looking at subconscious stuff, heavy stuff, to see you're ready to receive it. It's like you had to do this work. I love how it comes in with the swords like that, the masculine to the feminine, right? It's beautiful the way it's coming through, because it's interesting too. You see, it's like the masculine had to take the action, masculine aspect as in invoking the will. When we look at it from a hermetic perspective, I'm not speaking of gender here, okay? So masculine in the sense of taking action, invoking the will, moving something into motion, actually providing the avenue for it to come into being. And it looks like the masculine task was to release trying to figure something out, release thinking about something, release seeking for truth outside of oneself. And because something was not showing up in material reality, instead turn that focus on the search for truth within, not looking for answers outside, but within. And as a result, this created the receptivity where the truth was attained. And that's what welcomes what wants to come in here, which is this renewal energy that brings the completion of the work, the alchemy, and the sun, moon synergy. It's like the hermetic principle fulfilled. So you called something in and it's about to happen. You saw something happening. You finally let go. That's why it's about to come in here. It looks like pretty solid manifestation too. Interesting. Let's do a cut of the deck. See what we got around that. You still have this little piece remaining though. And I think that's sort of what's being moved through right now. Yeah, this isn't done yet. Once this is complete, you got 19, the sun, you see? All of a sudden you're no longer in the valley of the shadow and you step into the light. There's like defensiveness up here because of recall of what happened before. But that's in a state of transfer. Look at that. The 9 goes to the 10. You lay it down. You lay the burden down. And that's when everything comes to light. And your chariot comes in and you move forward. You find the way through. The riddle's resolved. Wow. See? Because it's the transformation of the receptive energy. Ooh. Okay, so this is interesting. And certainly, I mean, this is something that could be going down in your work sector, your relationship, your healing. You could be experiencing a real health breakthrough, some of you. Or you've navigated something successfully. Some action you took to let something go and just release it and focus more on your own answers within, as opposed to trying to understand the situation externally, is leading to the transformation you were desiring. Let me get an overarching theme here. Feel called to do that with this read. This took an interesting turn. It's multi-layered. I feel it's like that right now. It's like a big cosmic lasagna, you know? It's multi-layered. There's a lot going down all at once. And we're also, you know, like that too right now. We're like cosmic lasagnas. We're multi-layered. We're going through many levels of experience. And they're all authentic. And yet, you know, because they're so multi-layered, it can rouse distrust in others because they don't know where you're coming from. I think that can be a problem too when a lot of people are going through transformations and seeing things differently. You can really misinterpret them and misunderstand them as well. Because you're like, who are you? I've never known you to be this person. It's like, it can be unsettling. So I think there's a lot of that happening too. It's like reality is shifting, and that's certainly an emotional experience. You know, there's a lot to kind of integrate there too. But at the same time, why do I feel like even as there's things dissolving, and even in some cases, you know, relationships, connections, there's also this real beautiful, like, new ability to connect, coming through that very experience. I just heard sometimes it even is the thing that creates fusion in the end. Okay. So interesting energy here, but I do want to get an overarching theme for us for the next 72 hours in relation to all that came in here. Bottom of the deck, skull full of stars, infinite possibilities. Wow, look at that. Okay, yeah, this next lunar cycle is going to be quite significant. Trying to remember what sign the full moon is after Gemini. I think it might be Aquarius. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me on that. I have to check up on it. But I think it might be Aquarius. But look, right as I mentioned that full moon, this is what came out. We got Barmbrock, sweetness and synergy. There's some harvest prepared here. You know, I mean, you can look in the world around you and you can see a lot of doom and gloom. And certainly, you know, there's evidence of that. But there's also a lot going on too that is really to be appreciated as well. And if you've had a hard time seeing that, there's like the seeds of something coming in here the next 72 hours that you'll see around that full moon. You know, over the 8 weeks forward from this point, whenever you receive this, that something is going to grow quite rapidly and maybe go through a radical transformation. And it starts as something small, and then you recognize it leads you this beautiful harvest of sweetness and synergy. And it is your chariot forward, and it brings about a closing out of an old cycle, and you step into a transformed world. And it may seem like that's impossible right now, but there's infinite possibilities. Nothing is impossible when you got a skull full of stars. You're going to have a skull full of stars, collective. I think of skull full of stars, and I just see like synapses firing off in the brain. So I feel like something's really lighting you up. It's like there's light in the attic. Something gets cleared out here. Could be energetically, could be through your chakras. If you can, you know, clear out that bridge, clear out that solar plexus chakra, Manipura, then I think the flow will light you up with a skull full of stars. You'll suddenly see infinite possibilities, or maybe you didn't see a whole lot of much going on, except what seems like rough stuff in the world around you. All right, what we got here? Yeah, but first there needs to be this lighting up the blind spots here with skull of darkness. Isn't that wild? Skull of darkness, skull of stars. You know, that's the thing though. You can only find the stars in the darkness, right? So that's what this is. You may be traveling through the dark, but you do got light for your lantern to see the way, and that's what's different, okay? That's what's different as you step into the unknown. Your blind spot is that you have no idea the harvest that awaits you. Yeah, there are visions beyond death. See, another sign of the completion of alchemy with the peacock feather here. This is the cosmic seed of creation. Something that you called in here with owl medicine and raven medicine coming in. You called this in. You called this in. This is something that you strongly desired at one point, or you felt you were called to this, or you had some vision about this, and you set it in motion. And there's something about that full moon after the Gemini new moon think it's in Aquarius. That's when I see like grandmother spider out there weaving something special in for you. And it's a magical moment. And it's the signs of new life. It's a vision coming alive. Coming in with the synchronicity 44. Okay, so completion. Completion, the foundation's been laid. It's like the vision is ready to be actualized because the road opens that makes it possible. Okay, but first it opens in you because it looks like you're balancing something out here. And initiation complete. There's going to be a reward here. Anything else before I do a cut the deck? Anything else before I do a cut the deck here? Let's see. Anything else? I'm telling you. See, the shadows are already falling into the backdrop there. Black cat. Fortune meets opportunity. This is not bad luck, man. There's an opportunity here, and it's bringing some harvest for you. Just got to be mindful of releasing control with zombie so you don't, you know, hold yourself back, right? There's something here about letting go, and there could be some of you that maybe you haven't let go of something yet. Maybe you haven't, you know, maybe some of you have and maybe some of you haven't. There could be something coming forward here that challenges you. It could be your blind spot. It could be your kryptonite, okay? You're going to need to rely on that iron of the soul. You're going to have to evoke the courage of the lion so you can have the strength to overcome what would have held you back in the past, perhaps. There could be a test coming here. I mean, there seems to be a stamp of approval, though. I mean, to me, it looks like you'll pass the test, but it is something that it requires you to really let go of control and watch what comes in with the full moon. And then what do we got here? You're definitely moving against the grain, right? Against the grain. You're in different waters here, but I like this energy. This is the fulfillment, too, of the grand air trine, grand water trine. See, there's birds hanging out in the water here. So, yeah, that makes sense. Something that you had a blind spot around last fall during the time when the grand air trine came in October and then moved into the grand water trine is going to be leading to your harvest. It has everything to do with you relinquishing control. That is how your North Node, your Star of Destiny is warded here, watched over, protected. It's going to bring you a lot of happiness into your heart, also into your home. You finding where you belong. You finding your fire too. Fire really forward. And there's a transformation that's happening here. It's like soul smithing. But there's a test. There's a test here, and it involves control, and it could come from an outside force, and it's about your ability to let go. Okay, so focus on the light, because that's what leads to the skull of flowers. Release control. Also, Tejete's Mexican marigold. It's used for releasing energetic attachments here. So there is something about you've been wanting something to happen or been wanting to call something in, or you've desired something, but there's something coming to light that's a blind spot that's been preventing this from manifesting. And once you let go of control after this is lit up, this allows you to move against the grain. So where there was a lot of resistance before, you find more fluidity. And it leads to the path that is your North Node, the activation of your North Star. It will lead you to a harvest as of this fall. There's something you're creating through the ashes here. And it's the moment of the bloom. So it's really beautiful. Far-reaching effect too, brand new vision coming in. So focus on the light. even when you're diving deep, dive for light. There's a lot about diving for light through encountering the darkness that's in the unconscious, doing that through activating the hippocampus. That is a vehicle forward. Actually, the hippocampus is also the seahorses that draw forward Neptune's chariot. Neptune in Aries right now. What draws your dreams forward? Focusing on the light, diving for the light. Sometimes you have to encounter the skull of darkness before you get the skull of infinite stars. The stars are found in the dark. It's the same message, retrieving diamonds out of the void, that kind of energy we've been getting. So there's balance coming here. And this is a dream being retrieved. And that's how it's coming through. No other way to see that. Fortune means opportunity. Something is not as it appears, and in the best way possible. I mean, that's what it looks like, you know. It may have a certain veneer on it that puts your hackles up, and the reality is it's everything you wanted, okay? Let's get some numbers of significance. It's a real interesting energy coming in this week. It feels expansive, but it also feels like really meandering, kind of rambling energy too. Her Lord, I was born a rambling man. Okay, we got 3, 5, 2 coming out. Life path 3, 5, 2, 1. Life path 6. Strong life path 6. Strong life path 5. Strong life path 3. Strong life path 1. Okay. We also have life path 8, 9, 10, 1. Okay, got the energy of Aries coming through pretty strong. Taurus, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Virgo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Pisces, really strong Capricorn, especially in relation to achieving some physical desire. Something you gave up on, something you've wanted for a long time is coming through here. You do have this strength to achieve this. You are the way through. You're not going to be held up at the crossroads. You're activating your self-knowledge. You're making a choice. It leads to some kind of stability. Also, you really feeling like you're seated in your power. Coming in with Emperor to Empress energy. We also have Cancerian energy here. Wheel of Fortune coming into this really transforms the situation. Brings about justice and temperance on the other side of death. I mean, there is something that came to an end here. The months January, February, March were foundational for this. And now it's ready to be rooted. It's going to start to get really rooted here. June. Through September. All right, that's what I got for that. Let's get some ERISIAN Spirit Board action out here since Chaos Mom introduced herself to see what else wants to present itself here. It is so weird. The first thing I saw as soon as these came down was Byzantine. That's really random, but that's what I got. Byzantine. I got the name Ryan. Let's see. I got nanosecond. So yeah, things are really going to start to pick up. You may be noticing these weird experiences where it feels like a glitch, like a glitch in reality, like just little moments where you have unusual experiences with the passage of time, okay? Moments where you're kind of seeing through the holographic existence. I got the name Dina coming in. Deanna. These could be people of importance. They're coming into your sphere, or if it's your name, something significant being highlighted for you. Got bat coming in with that. Bat medicine, medicine of initiation, also rebirth, also extrasensory perception in the form of a sight awakening. It's kind of coming through as like some kind of psychic awareness, the ability to see into the unknown, the ability to see in the dark. Also sonic, kind of like sonar location devices I'm hearing. Okay, that's interesting. That feels like that's something happening more on a macrocosmic level. Sonar location devices. Is this something going on with submarines? I see the submarines coming in with that. I got yes with that. Okay, so something coming in around submarines. I heard we all live in a yellow submarine, but I don't think that, I mean, that might be like a side note message, but I don't think that is the message. But hey, you know, cycles just repeat themselves. There's so much going on right now that bears a lot of resemblance to the time when that song was out, that album was out, you know. It's like 2026 is going to have a lot of striking resemblances to stuff that was going down in the summer of love. Also, interesting that coming through, more psychedelic therapies coming through. Could be something significant happening in relation to that, like legislation around that. I got the DA coming in connection with that, something moving forward with that. It's a yes. So definitely moving into the Aquarian age around that. I got the name Les coming in connection with that. Well, you know, and I was going to say, every time I see the name Les, it makes me think Les Paul, and I was about to say, could be like a musician connected, and then I saw axe, so guitar player in connection to that. Okay. Anything else? More fraud surfacing around the loan scandal. more surfacing in New Mexico that could have some bearing in relation to the what's being unearthed that I brought in. Okay, something could be found out there, more could be discovered out there. I got something coming in of significance related to that that also has jet. I don't know if there's like some kind of landing strip that's being discovered. Something of note in relation to that. Interesting. I have India coming in as a hotbed of activity. Okay. I also got Kenya coming in here too. I'm hearing resources. Negotiations, resources, deals. All right, that's what I got. It's starting to become just like a hodgepodge of energies here. I think we got the general gist of the message. I don't really need to go into a bunch of that other stuff. I want to, as much as possible, keep it focused on our own individual lanes so we know how to work with this energy. But of course, you know, the Frodis always wants to insert itself and finds its way in. But I think that's it for tonight. So get ready for a ride. It looks like there's a lot that's transforming here. And we did have the journeyman come forward last week. So I think I'll do a quest read around the journeyman, and perhaps we'll bring that in tomorrow to get a closer look at this. And maybe even kind of mushing it together with the Sabian symbols. See how we can tie it all together perhaps, okay? So I'll bring that in tomorrow for you all. All right? And in the meantime, Godspeed.